Okay, this is a review lesson. This is adding and subtracting fractions with unlike denominators. And we're doing this because we're going to be moving into multiplying and dividing fractions. And sometimes when you're simplifying, you have to add or subtract fractions. And so this is just a review. This obviously will be in your notebook. And if you need to reference this as you're moving forward with multiplying and dividing fractions, this will be a good help for you. So notes here. And you can use your pen on this if you want, your pencil. So common denominators are fractions that have the same denominator. Okay, so when they have a common denominator, it's fractions that have the same denominator. Remember, that's the bottom number in your fraction. So to add or subtract two fractions, they must have the same denominator. Okay, so you're going to change the fractions to equivalent fractions with the same denominator. Notice how that denominator always has to be the same. Then add or subtract the numerators, and the numerator, as we know, is the top number in a fraction. And then simplify the sum or difference. Okay? So we're going to look at what this looks like, breaking it down. So the first thing you're going to do is find a common denominator. So I have 1/5 plus 1/4, and we focus on that denominator. Okay, so you're going to find it. So we're going to rewrite the equivalent fraction. So basically, you want to find the least common multiple of your denominators. So when I say least common multiple, if I were to write out multiples, 5 times 1, 5 times 2, 5, 10, 15, 20, those are multiples. The same thing here. So this is where knowing your multiplication factors is really helpful. So the least common multiple of 5 and 4 would actually be 20. Okay? And so you need to ask yourself, how did I get from 5 to 20? Well, you multiplied by 4. How did I get from 4 to 20? I multiplied by 5. Why is that important? Because whatever you do to the denominator, I multiplied by 4, you must do to the numerator. So 1 times 4 is 4. 4 times 5 is 20. 1 times 5 is 5. Okay? So then you're going to find the sum. So we have 4 20ths plus 5 20ths. And notice how the denominator has to stay the same. So my denominator is 20. Add my numerators. 4 plus 5 is 9. Okay? And then simplify if necessary. So where we were looking for the least common multiple for my denominators, now when I simplify, I need to divide my numerator and denominator by the greatest common factor. Okay? So if I were to look at my factors, meaning numbers we multiply, let's see, factors of 9 are 1, 3, and 9. I'm just going to show you visual. 1, 3, 9. Factors of 20 are 1, 2, 4, 5, and 20. As you can see, the only common factor is 1. So if the greatest common factor of two numbers is 1, you cannot simplify it. So this fraction is simplified already. Okay, let's look at another one. We're subtracting. Find a common denominator. Okay, so we're going to rewrite to have equivalent fractions. Again, I want to find the least common multiple. I'm going to come up here and do multiples up here. 8 times 1, 8 times 2, 8 times 3. Let's see, 6 times 1, 6 times 2, 6 times 3, 6 times 4. So I do multiples until I hit the first common multiple because that's the least common multiple. So, and then if you're like, well, what did I multiply by? Well, count them. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so 8 times 3 is 24. 1, 2, 3, 4. 6 times 4 is 24. So whatever I do to the denominator, I must do to my numerator. So 7 times 3 is 21. Whatever I do to my denominator, I must do to my numerator. So 6 times 4, so 2 times 4 is 8. And now I need to find the difference. So 21 24ths minus 8 over 24. Okay, so remember, my denominator does not change. So I'm just going to move that over. So 21 minus 8 is 13. And again, if when you simplify, you got to divide by the greatest common factor. And so here's another like shortcut thing here, which I'm sure you have learned in 5th grade. If a number is prime, unless this prime number is a factor of your other number here, it's already simplified. And 13 is prime, so 13 24ths, and it's already simplified. So that's all it is. So you're going to have some practice today. Super, super short. Just practice on this, and this is the only time we're going to devote to this because this is a review skill, so we can move on to multiplying and dividing fractions.